Are you thinking of owning your dream homes? EJ Investment is here for you. Secure our quality bungalows with 2, 3 or 4 bedrooms, or our story buildings 3 or 4 to 5 bedrooms at very affordable prices with flexible payment plans at our Sanyang Seaview Estate, where you can enjoy the cool breeze with modern infrastructure such as tar roads, covered drainage system, modern electrification with street lights, gated entrance with security posts, and social amenities such as gas station, shopping mall, medical clinic, park, schools, children daycare, and a lot more. Our dedicated team of professionals will keep the estate clean at all times, provide security and patrol team within the estate premises, install latest technologies such as CCTV, Wi-Fi, home network installation, solar panel, and power backup system. Also, check out for our additional home facilities and interior design service such as premium tiling, wall plaster, home landscape, fingerprint home lock, and a lot more. Visit our office at Senegambia Kololi Highway and get a free site visit tour, or contact us on 4464-838. WhatsApp us on 3259220. Or you can visit our Facebook page or Instagram on EJ Investments. EJ Investments, we are first in properties.
Islamic microfinance is becoming an increasingly popular mechanism for poverty alleviation, especially for developing countries around the world. This microfinance service adheres to the principles of Islam as a form of social responsibility. Yona Islamic Microfinance is the Islamic microfinance of choice in the Gambia, trustworthy and reliable. At Yona Islamic Microfinance, we provide savings products, current accounts, financing products in conformity with Islam. In addition, Yona Islamic Microfinance also offers local and international remittances, takaful fund, management of zakat, management of awqaf, trading and investment, and building of strategic partnerships to bring financial services to the doorstep of the poor with donor projects, madrasas, youth organizations, women groups, and farmer organizations. Make a choice with Yona Islamic Microfinance today. For more information on Yona Islamic Microfinance, call 377-2151 or 9832-151, or visit Yona head office at Tipa Garage, Bakote, or visit any Yona branch located countrywide near you.
Planning to have an uninterrupted electricity and water supply from solar energy in the Gambia and beyond? Worry no more, because Solar Enterprise will provide you with the solutions at reasonable cost. We have experienced personnel who can install and advise you about your electricity and water supply with a warranty period. We have good quality solar products from North America and Europe. We provide services and sell products to individuals, organizations, institutions, private offices, communities, and government. These products are solar panels, batteries, charge controllers, inverters, water pump, water heaters, freezers, submersible pumps, and general solar accessories. Visit our stores at 48 Kairaba Avenue and Brusubi Highway, or you can call us on 7657-479-980-8483, 340-9400, or 635-9906.
It would include perhaps LK Latrikunda in German, German here, Latrikunda German. It also includes St. Teresa's in Carnifing. It also includes Newstrat in Bundum, and it also includes Charles Joe. Just to give you an example of what we refer to as public schools. So any child in that school should not pay for anything, as the government of the Gambia pays for everything that involves or is included or is surrounding their education in those schools. From the provisions of teaching and learning materials, to all other materials that may be used in the process of service delivery. We want to make that clear. And for that reason, if there are schools that are levying some charges that are not authorized by the ministry, they should desist or stop that with immediate effect. There are regulations surrounding the operations of schools, and those regulations must be adhered to. As a country, as a sector, we operate within regulations, and we must always remain operating within those regulations. However, in these schools that I've mentioned, the parents have the obligation of providing stationery for the children, uniforms for the children, perhaps shoes, among other things. So I want to make that clear. In fact, let me add by saying, in CRR North, the schools that are there, the children are even provided uniform, shoes. 19 of the schools are provided uniform and shoes and what we call lunch. I'm sure those of us who benefited from lunch while going to school, we understand what is lunch. The government of the Gambia provides these 19 schools in addition to the fees that government pays for them. They provide additional uniforms, shoes, and also feeding for these schools. Feeding free of charge on daily basis. So it is important that the public is aware of this, because we often hear the statement that children pay school. No. The only ones that pay fees in this country are those children that decide to go to the private schools. Those children in private schools, based on their rules of engagement, would be required to pay some charges for the provisions of the educational or teaching and learning in those schools. However, the sector is working on coming up with a policy that will guide the general operations of not only public schools, but also private schools. Because we are aware of some challenges that are posed to parents, and it's becoming difficult for some parents. As a sector, we exist to provide protection to the children of this country, to the parents of these children, and also to the proprietors of these schools. So there must be a win-win situation among these players. The parents must not suffer, the children must not suffer, the proprietors too must not suffer. But how do we achieve all of this? We can only achieve all of this through some form of regulations. And in the nearest future, we shall be coming out with these regulations to share, all in the interest of our children and the country at large. We told you some time ago that we are on a campaign and a serious work to ensure that we have quality education here. That cannot be achieved without collective responsibility, and that's what we are calling for. So we thought it is important as a sector that we come around and give out this message or share this message with the public. So I repeat, for the purpose of emphasis, we have free schools in this country, meaning no fees are paid in public schools in the Gambia. And I've named what are public schools as per the definition or as per the regulations we have. These are government, grant-aided, subvented, and recognized madrasa schools in this country. No child going to those schools should pay any levy or fee. But in the event some schools want to initiate some good practices in terms of provisions of certain things. For example, uniform in the schools that parents buy uniform. We are saying that that must be forwarded to the ministry for approval. And more importantly, it must be championed by the SMCs and the PTAs. No school administration should champion that. Those who should champion that should be the SMCs, that is the school management committees, and the Parents Teachers Association. They should champion such a cause where they can get a tailor to the school, buy materials, and the tailor sews and give them to them. But they must not be managed or single-handedly be handled by the school authorities. In that respect, we solicit everyone's cooperation to ensure that if you do know of a public school that is charging fees that are not to be charged, please call on the sector, the nearest regional office, or the headquarters. We would like to solicit your cooperation on that front. Having said that, like I said, the purpose of this gathering was to really share with you the results. But before the results are given to you in details, let me say last year we did tell you that our interest as a sector is not to concentrate on the flyers. And when we say flyers, those top students with aggregate 6. It is good to have aggregate 6. But what is better is to have everybody having aggregate 6. But in the event we cannot have everybody having aggregate 6, what is important for us is to widen the pass number and lessen the failure number. In this, I mean, we need to have more students passing the subjects to be able to proceed or transit to grade 10 than just having a few who will be able to proceed or transit to grade 10. And what we have seen so far, from last year to this year, comparing the 2 years, we have more students that pass the grade 9 exams this year than last year. We have wider numbers, greater people that have aggregate 7, aggregate 8, aggregate 9, all the way to aggregate 42, which is the government cutoff mark. We only have a shortfall in the aggregate 6, but the number is just 7 as a shortfall. But like I said, in some others aggregates, the number has doubled, and that is our interest as a sector. We are working towards ensuring that, like I said last year, to zeroize the fail rate in this country. And that's our mission as a sector, and that's what we are committed to ensuring that we achieve in the nearest, shortest possible time. One other thing that I want to mention is that we want to congratulate our regional directorates. We are congratulating them because we have seen from the analysis of the results that even the flyers that we often refer to, they do not only exist in private schools as often perceived. And the analysis will show you, you'll be given the details of that. Often we think public schools are not good enough as compared to private schools. But the results are proving otherwise. The results are indicating that even out of those with aggregate 6, we have 5 against 7. Sane, am I right? We have 5 private schools that got aggregate 6, and we have 7 public schools that got aggregate 6. 11. Good. So it's 11 against 5, meaning the public schools almost doubled the private schools. So that is something we are interested in, and that is giving you assurance that we are committed as a sector to provide quality education in our public schools. And I was congratulating the regional offices also for the fact that even some of our remote schools are among these students with aggregate 6, aggregate 7, aggregate 8, and so on, all the way to Basse. So it means the decentralization that the ministry has committed itself to is yielding dividend. In other words, it's a course that it's worth continuing to do, because we are now not concentrating in the greater Banjul. And in relation to this, I will use this forum to encourage all my teachers to take up postings anywhere they are posted to. Let's go and give our best, give our services to these children. We do not know where the president is coming from, even though history has told us that the presidents are all coming from the rural area. So therefore, I encourage all my teachers, my gallant teachers, to take up postings so that those children in the most remote Gambia are provided the same quality education as those in the city of Banjul or the surroundings of Greater Banjul area. Finally, I want to thank the teachers, the administrators, and the managers, both at school level, at regional level, and headquarters, for all the dedication and commitment in supporting the teaching and learning across the length and breadth of this country. It is with your efforts, it is with your interests that these results we are sharing today have come to be. Keep up the good job. The challenge is there, but with determination, we shall all conquer the challenges and the obstacles that lie ahead of all of us. Once again, I want to appreciate everyone on behalf of my Honorable Minister, my entire management team, my directors, both head office and regional, and everyone that has contributed. We want to profoundly express our appreciation and say bravo. We are all obliged. Thank you very much.
Message is well hammered, and I hope our friends and colleagues in the media would report it well so that everybody in this country will get the message the way we want it, particularly the issue on the levying that some of us are asking parents to pay. It's not proper, it's against the regulations, and we also desist from it. But what our most common problem, and that is natural about Gambians, we complain, but we don't want to take responsibility. People will call you, yeah, I'm the judge, bring the receipt. They will never ever. So you want to complain against Mr. Cisse, but you never want to come and say it's Mr. Cisse who is doing it. We wouldn't know. If you are a culprit or you are a victim of whatever is happening, you want us to apprehend or to make sure that we nip that problem, but we must have the evidence so that that would guide our actions. But you complain, but you would never want to come forward. I could fully remember somebody coming to my office complaining about a certain school. I said, okay, let me have the receipts of those payments you made. The guy gave them to me. After 30 minutes, he came back to say, please, can I have my receipts again? I said, why? He said, because if you take it there, they will say I'm the one reporting. That's too Gambian about us. And unless and until people are prepared to take responsibility, we cannot take actions. So please help us, people from the media, to make sure that people know their rights, but also their responsibilities. We want to thank you once again, Pierce, for those words of wisdom. and for the encouragement, particularly the commendation sent to the regional directors and their staff, principals and teachers, parents, everybody inclusive, for all of us making the 2021 academic year a success. When you talk about success, we're referring to the results. Because as we speak, that's the only yardstick that we can use to measure what we are doing as a sector. So thank you also for recognizing the efforts of your staff. Ladies and gentlemen, now we have heard from the peers. We would want to make a presentation of the results. It will be projected. We try to follow it keenly. There will be a narrative as we go along so that people will understand what we're talking about. And when that is done, we open up the questions for people to ask. But I want to emphasize, let the questions center on the results. Don't start asking me about double shift or hard shift problem. If you have those problems, come to the office. We will be more than willing to listen to you. But today we are talking about results. Let's focus on the results. Or after the press conference, you follow the peers or any of the senior management or any staff of MOPSI into their office or catch them outside and they will answer your questions. But please, for heaven's sake, the objective is to talk about the results. Thank you very much. Table 1 shows the number of candidates that sat to the GABEC in 2021 by region and gender nationally. Those who sat, you remember there is a difference between those who register and those who sat. This number is talking about those who sat to the exam, at least one subject. And they are 26,147 sat to the exams. Now, which 11,340 are boys and 14,807 are girls. We have still about 418 candidates whose results are not included in this analysis due to delay in the submission of continuous assessment CAS marks by their schools. What this meant is there are 418 students who still their results are withheld by WIAC because their CAS marks are not submitted by their schools. Is it clear? Okay. Now, can we move to table 2? Table 2 is talking about number of candidates with aggregate less than or equal to 42. Remember, the permanent secretary talked about the pass aggregate to be aggregate 42. The number of candidates that have aggregate 6 to aggregate 42 is this number, 12,354 candidates. And this is shown by region. Region 1. Mulai, you have to be, yeah, that is table 2. 12,354. Region 1. This year, 3,861 students have aggregate 6 to 42. Region 2, 5,884. Region 3, 1,089.
Slow down a bit, no, they cannot read this from the distance, so you'll be writing what you have said.
I'm moving fast. Okay, no problem. Yes. Now what we are saying is, of the candidates that scores aggregate 6 to 12 this year, there are 12,354 students or candidates. Of this number, 3,861 is from Region 1. 5,884 is from Region 2. 1,089 is from Region 3. 386 is from Region 4. 638 is from Region 5. And 458 is from Region 6. But if you look at the analysis over the period, you see that in every region other than region 4, the results, the number have increased from 2019 to 2020 to 2021. Region 1, Region 2, Region 3, Region 5, Region 6, the numbers are increasing. Unfortunately, for Region 4, this year the numbers have gone down. That is the number of children with aggregate 6 to aggregate 42. Table 3. Table 3 is talking about these aggregates by gender. How many are boys? How many are girls? Table 3 illustrates the number of candidates with aggregate 42 or less by gender. The number of candidates with aggregate 42 or less have increased from 12,148 in 2020 to 12,354 in 2021. In terms of volume, there are more girls than boys with aggregate score of 42 or less for the last 3 years. That is bravo to the girls. If you have checked from 2019 to date, the number of girls that are passing is still more than the number of boys. And I think that is also something my sister would be very much pleased to hear, because it's saying that the girls are competing effectively against the boys. Can you move now? Table 4. Table 4 shows the number of candidates with pass mark by core subjects. Now we are coming to the core subjects. Comparing 2020 to 2021, the number of passes in the 4 core subjects increases. Passes in English has increased from 11,419 to 14,254. Mathematics from 6,028 to 9,589. Science from 12,863 to 14,370. And SES from 14,811 to 16,513. That is also showing that the core subjects, mathematics, from 2020 to 2021 has increased. If you remember last year when we met here, we said English, mathematics, English has improved slightly, but mathematics experienced a fall down last year. But this year, there's a huge jump of more than 3,000 plus candidates who have have a pass in mathematics as far as the core subjects are concerned. The same for science and SES. So in all the core subjects, you see that there is improvement, or there is an increase in number of candidates that were able to or are able to have a pass in it. Now we go to table 5. Table 5 is number of candidates with pass by subject and gender. And again, you have seen that boys and girls, English language the girls have improved. Equally, the boys have improved. For science, mathematics the same. For science the same, and for SES the same. That implies in all the core subjects, there's improvement, which is exactly what we talked about in the previous slides. And by gender, you can see how they are performing. But notwithstanding, we still recognize that you have more girls than boys. Now, we move to table 6. As I said, table 5 was just showing the number of candidates with passes in core subjects by gender. Now, table 6 is with credit now. Those who have credit, which is 1 to 6. 7 and 8 are passes, 1 to 6 are credit. English language has improved over the years. Mathematics has equally improved. Science equally improved, and SES. And those with credit passes, I have a 1, a 2, a 3, up to 6, is 11,370 for 2021, compared to 2020, where it was 10,168. So there is an improvement also in that. Now, what is the narrative saying? Display the number of candidates with credit by subject, focusing on the core subjects. In 2021, 8,763 students credit English, 5,453 credit mathematics, 9,414 students credit science, and 11,370 credit SES. Compared to 2020, the volume of students with credit in the core subjects are increased across all subjects again. So for 2021, all the core subjects have also increased in terms of the number of credits again. Now, table 7 is talking about number of centers that record aggregate 6, public versus private, as the peers alluded to earlier on. Because there is normally this saying that, yeah, the private schools are better than the public schools. If you go to education, the senior officers, their children are all in private schools. And I had an interview last week with, was it Q Radio, and I told them, I don't have any of my children going to a private school. They're all going to public schools. And all of us is the same. But that is the notion people said. And I said, when you talk about private schools are better, you need to be very specific. Which private school are you telling me? But we are saying here that is the number of schools that register aggregate 6 by management type, public or private. Out of the 16 students, this year we have 16 students with aggregate 6. Sorry, centers. I'm sorry about that. Centers. The public schools registered 11. That is, there are 11 different public schools where we have a child with aggregate 6. For the private schools, 5 of them. So which implies the public schools are performing better now, as far as the exams is concerned. What we mean by the center, we're talking about the schools. For example, St. Teresa's, Charles Luanga, Latrikunda, Bakote, those are the centers. Ndaus, Methodist Academy, these are the centers. If you look at the private schools and the public schools, with children obtaining or having aggregate 6, we have 11 centers or 11 schools which are public and 5 that are private, which implies we got 16 centers that were able to produce aggregate 6. This is different from the number of students. I'm talking about the centers now. Can we move to the next place? Now, table 8. This is distribution of students with aggregate 6 by gender and management type. Here, this time around, the girls have gone down as far as aggregate 6 is concerned, my sister. Public schools, 9 boys have aggregate 6, private 3, which means 12 of them. 12 of the boys have aggregate 6. Girls, public schools, 3, private 4, 11. So in total, we have 19 students who have aggregate 6 this academic year. 19. Of this 19, 12 are boys, 7 are girls, or it is 63% are boys and 37% are girls. So this time around, as far as the aggregate 6 are concerned, the boys have overtaken the girls. He said you should not clap. Okay. Can we move, please? No, it's not bad. Now, we are showing select and rank of public schools in the rural area. Why we are also trying to project this is for people to understand, because there is this notion also that it's only the schools in the greater Banjul area that are performing. And we want to say, no, it's different. You have people in the interior who are really doing well. Now, if you look at this ranking, Region 5, Balangar, which is in Lower Salum. How many of us know where Balangar is? Maybe none of you. Unless you're okay. Balangar, they have 100% passes. All their children who wrote to the exam passed the exams. Yeah. You know? You come to Fonyi, Berevet, the same 100% is in the Fonyis. You go to Jurungu. If you know where Jurungu is, In Upper Nyomi, it's a terrible place to go in terms of transportation. Very difficult. But 100%, all their children pass the exams. Then you come to Blenheim, it's also in Fonyi, 97%. Kamfenda Ahmadiyya Muslim School in Fonyi, 96.3. Jisadi in Dankungu, 95.8. That is one child failed the exam out of those who wrote to the exam. You come up to Choya, you branch in another 15 kilometers or more to get to Jisadi. They are able to have 95.8% of their children. Mukhtar, you want to show us the map? Yeah. Can you do that, please? Show us where is Jisadi. You Dangungu, you proceed. Yeah. You see Jisadi? Very far. But they are able to produce that number of their children. 95.8% are able to pass the exams. You come to St. Martin's within Combo South, 93.3. Kiang Mandua. I know the Badibungas will not say anything this time. Kiang Mandua. You come up to Sangandi, you go in many kilometers. And Kiang Mandua, 92.3% of the children have passed the exams. So why we are showing this is just to people to understand this notion of it's only schools in the Greater Banyo. We're showing the children of country are also doing well, and that is supporting our decentralization. All what we crave for now is for teachers to accept taking posting in those communities so that we try to at least make them feel they are part of the country. Because their children are producing. The peers talked about it. History is teaching us that all presidents are coming from the rural part of the country. So then we should be proud of those children to support them because we don't know whether the next president is also coming from there again. Then from Manduar, you come to Combo South, St. Vincent. Another Sambuya Sakanjan is also in Combo South. Combo is Pirang. Tumanna, Damfakunda, you go to Basse. They are able to get 85% of their children. Jamisa is in Combo Central, 85%. Tumani Tenda is Combo East, 84%. Opanyomi Ketcherno, 83.9. Nyofele in Combo South, 83.3. Yundum Barracks, that's the army camp. They have a school. And also for them, 81.3% of their children pass the exam. Jasi Technical in Combo East, 81%. Koina, the farthest place in the country, they are able to score 80% of their children pass the exams. You come to Badari, it's also in Tumana. Kappa in Fonyi Kansala. Because it's something that people are very used to, from Katon to Koina, telling the endpoints. If you come to the south, it's Katon. You go to the east, it's Koina. That's the last school. They are able to score this number of. Now, Badare is in Tuman. Behind you go after Basse, you continue. So Kappa is in Fonyi. Mahmoud Fana in Nyamina East, where my people are, the Fana Fanas. 77.8%. Bintambolong, 76. Digiri in Tumana again. Digiri. Digiri is also very far place. Huh? Dingiri, sorry. Dingiri. In region 6. Sama Sangsan Technical, Combo Central. You have Songkunda, another farm very close to, from Songkunda, I think the last school is second to last, very likely, to Koina, Songkunda. After Fatoto, you move further. They also have performed. Now you come to Damfai in Same. Damfai is in region 5, north. From Kundawur, you move on towards Karantaba, you branch on the way. You have Jimbala in region 5 again. You go up to Kaur, you get inside. You have Korojolo Kunda in Jimara. After Sarebojo, you cross. I could remember a few years ago, there used to be a very serious stream that during the rainy season, the children cannot cross to go to school because of the water level. And still these children are performing. Now you go to Wuli East, Morekunda. If you know Wuli East, you get to, how do you call it? What is the name of that, where you have this health center director? Bajakunda. You know, that is part of Wuli East or West? Huh? Wuli East. Now you have Kunting in Same. Now we put Kiang, Sibito, even though they are 48%, is deliberate. And I will explain why we put them there. Can you show Sibito? Sibito is in Kiang. But this is a very difficult community that even drinking water is a challenge. They have to go to the next village to draw water. They have a bowl in the school, but it's not drinkable. Teachers are sacrificing to stay there, students and their parents, and at least 48% of them manage to pass the exam. So this is telling you that our rural community, the children are coming up. That is why we sown this. And to conclude on this tip, let me say, these very children we're talking about are the children that are seriously affected by COVID, because COVID found them in grade 8. Last year, it was few months to the exams before we declared. But these children were just one term, some weeks into 8, and there was this lockdown. But they still managed to do something. Implies that together we can make a difference. That is, teachers, parents, students, the community, the managers, everybody has a stake. And if we all put our efforts together, we can make a difference in our education system in this country. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the last slide, and that was the objective. We want to thank you once again on behalf of my permanent secretary for finding time to come. And we hope you are able to understand what we presented. If you have any question, my technical team are around. They will be able to answer. But let the questions, please, center on the results. If there are something outside the results, catch up with them when they are out of the hall. Thank you very much.
My name is Fatou. I'm a freelance reporter. I just want to understand from the data the number of students who have grade 6. Because in 2019, I understand 21 students who have grade 6. We are not getting to say this 29. 21 students who have grade 6. And in 2020, it rose to 26 students who have grade 6. And if I understand, in 2021, 19 students who have grade 6. That is a slight drop from the number of students who have grade 6. That is
Yeah, I think I talked about that in my deliberations. I said there's a drop in the number of children or students in aggregate 6. But if you were able to see the results projected from aggregate 6 to aggregate 42 or 27, you would have seen that from that all is increasing. And that is why, in terms of volume, you have more who have passed the exam this year. But for aggregate 6, it has gone down. And the PS said last year, he said this, our objective is to zero it down to 0 passes. Failures. And that is why we cherish those with aggregate 6, but we are more happy when we have more children passing the exams to just the outliers. Because if you look at some schools, you'll have one child in aggregate 6, but another 100 in aggregate 7. So that is to us better than having 2 aggregate 6 and 49 aggregate 54. I hope you understand.
But if you understand, I mean, these are requirements in UTG. You must have your studies English and maths.
No, this is not about DD. This is to senior secondary. They are transiting to senior, not UTG there.
I know. I mean, it's that impact because the way things are going, because we have seen the reduced in terms of aggregates. It's that impact, I mean, the long-term process.
Please, when you go to UTG, they don't ask for aggregate, they ask for credits.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yeah. So somebody with aggregate 6 implies they had all 6 ones. 4 core 1, 2 electives 1, that makes it the 2 best. But somebody can still have, remember, we said 42. You go to Nusrat, they will tell you our cutoff mark is 18. Do you know why? Many children have opted to go to Nusrat that have passed and they cannot accommodate them. So they will look at the number that they can accommodate and draw their line. You go to, let me take Firdausi in Region 5, where you have very few number of children from the community who have aggregate 6 or 7 to 42. There are 3 in number. You have few who manage to move from Panjang or some other places. But still, there are space for them to accommodate more. Is it better to keep those places out or allow these children? Because there is this notion also, some people are late developers. You can enter with aggregate 54 even, and by the time you come out, you are able to get to university. But it's to do with the available spaces. That is why we cut the number at 42, because we know how many spaces are available in our senior secondary schools, nationally. That is what we looked at to determine the aggregate. But some schools will go beyond, some will go less. And that is why those few cases you cited may happen. It's possible also, some of these children who score these aggregates are no longer in the country. Some of them are no longer in the country. But they wrote to the exam. As far as our data is concerned, we are counting them, but they are no longer around. Naturally, some have died. You know that is happening. Some have traveled. So what will we do with those places? So that is responsible of some of those issues you are raising. It's to do with the available spaces and also to the number that have opted to come to the school.
I am Omar Diallo, QTV. My question is, since the start of the announcement of the results, I've seen officials of the ministry taking too much credit of the private school or the public school doing better than the public school, the private school rather. But I was not baffled with this, because I want to believe if you compare the number of private schools with the public school, definitely you cannot get more private schools in aggregate 6 than public school. Looking at the number of public schools compared to the private school, so but that doesn't baffle me, to be honest. But they are also taking credit of like schools in Balangar, in Fatou doing well. Are they not in the Gambia? You are still battling with getting your teacher's post. I was one of your teachers. I taught for 10 years. In fact, I have a student of mine as one of the reporters here. But I know there are a lot of us here who were in classroom. But we are, as long as we are still able. And I believe there is something the ministry could do to get your teachers to those schools that you are saying, look at where the school is, and they are able to do this. It's because there is something wrong there. That is why they are not going there. So what is the ministry doing to ensure that what is in Latrikunda, if not all, but at least 85% of that is in Fatou, is in Kerr, so that teachers will not hesitate to get to go to postings to those schools so that they can equally be producing that 100% that we've seen in those schools that you projected here.
Thank you.
No, I'm coming. What is the ministry doing about that?
Okay.
Two, you said out of the number that wrote for the exams, about 418 candidates' results are not included.
In the analysis.
I don't seem to understand.
In this analysis.
Yes, in that analysis. Are their results with hold? What is the ministry doing about their results? Thank you for now.
Let me allow my colleagues maybe to comment.
What we are doing at Rural Gambia, you can comment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jallo, for your question. Let me start by saying that what is the ministry doing to ensure that what happens in Latrikunda German happens in Bolibanda, for example. There are many factors to this. You just don't look at it from one perspective, leaving the others. In Latrikunda German, if you are posted there, perhaps you come from Lamin, you would not require guardianship, would you? Wherein in Bolibanda, you are subjected to some guardianship. Besides, there are incentives government has put in place for those people up country as opposed to those here. In some cases, for example, Bolibanda, I'll tell you, for this year, any female teacher that is taken there is given 90% hardship. 90% hardship means almost twice your salary for going there. There is a staff quarters being built with the state-of-art facilities that you can find, except there are things that you want to suggest that the ministry is still not doing. However, you must realize that education is the biggest sector in this country, and it spreads out through the length and breadth of this country, and it may not be that easy for government to put all the resources in funding education and loan and living help and living even infrastructure. If you go, the road to get to Bolibanda is an issue. We are doing our best in providing hardship, provisional allowances, and so on and so forth. But we have individual interest. Some teachers prefer to stay here. They are not interested in teaching the children there. They are not committed to the course of work. To stay here and run around 3, 4 private schools together with their government school or public schools. What do you say to that as an individual or as a young teacher as you are going for private classes? So we are aware of the challenges, and this is why we are doing the extra of providing these additional incentives for teachers for them to be able to be taking up rural postings to teach the children in the rural Gambia. You asked the question, why are we celebrating the results of rural Gambia as opposed to urban Gambia? The facilities are not the same. Here you have private teachers at your wish. You may not find that there. You have electricity to study 24/7. You may not find that up there. How do you compare those children to these ones? You have internet. Our children in the urban Gambia can operate these computers or mobiles more than you and I. But it's difficult for those. In fact, the ministry did a survey, and we realized that 80% of the households in this country got a smartphone. But out of that 80%, 95% of those are all in the rural, urban Gambia. So meaning there are more facilities here than up country there. So if you put those two people, if you are comparing them, except you are not after objective reasoning and results, where you will compare orange to banana, where you will compare mangoes to apple, then you will not get the real thing. But if you want objective and reasoning results, you should compare oranges to oranges, banana to banana, apple to apple. And in that case, whatever exists in urban Gambia, should exist in rural Gambia for you to have a comparison. This is the reason for celebrating those children in rural Gambia who are disadvantaged in all forms and states, doing well compared to those of these ones here who have everything at their disposal, and yet they are not performing compared to those in the rural Gambia. That is the reason for the celebration. Public to private? Yes.
He put the same question to me last week.
I know. No, it's all right. Yes, public to private. I agree with you. The numbers are not the same. But let me tell you this. Try and make a walk to Bundum, St. Teresa's, Bakote, Soma, Kobakunda, Eso. You will find students that are there, the population of students, and compared to any of the private schools, the numbers are not the same. I know of schools that have a total of 45. 45 is just a class in the public schools. It's just a class. But that is a private school in totality. The total population of a private school is 45. How do you compare those two? And you must not forget, the public exists for the general public, meaning the government exists for the population. They are not to take privilege above the general public. That is why we exist. What the private cannot absorb, that's what government absorbs. That is the target of government. And that is why we are interested in lessening the fail rate as compared to the pass rate. Somebody asked a question, 2019-21 students had aggregate 6. 2020, you have 26 of them aggregate 6. This year we have this. We told you last year that our interest is not to only concentrate on flyers, those with AIQs. Our interest is to make sure that we have more people going to high school rather than having people after grade 9, they have no other choice because they cannot proceed or transit to grade 10. That's not our interest. Because if we do that, where do those people go to? We do not want them in our street. We have a responsibility, and our responsibility is to provide services to them. We want them to transit to high school or to senior secondary school. In that way, they'll be able to proceed to university or polytechnic or college or whatever they want to do. And then you will be able to have a productive society if you give them the opportunity. And my colleague has beautifully told you, we have late developers. You must observe that. People do not all start at the same time. There are those that are slow but very sure. And there are those that start well but they don't end well. They don't end well. And what we are trying to do to be able to capture those people is we have launched what we call individual student ID for every student in this country for the first time. So that these children that are born at the age of 3 or 4, when they should go to nursery or ECD, we should be able to come to you and say, look, this child was born on this day. He's 4 years now. The child should be going to school. Where is the child? This child is 18. Has he finished senior secondary school? He should be transiting to college or to university. So it's a tracer system that traces you from ECD all the way to the rest of your life. You have unique ID. And that is the reason we are working with the Ministry of Health, because they are responsible for birth. So there is that relationship, and that has been launched. Very soon, the results will be shared with you nationally. It's a census, like I said, the student census. And we will also be able to have information of each and every child in our school system. When you type Louis Moses Mendy, you'll be able to see who his parents are, what do they do for a living, who are his brothers, who are his relatives, who is sponsoring him. In this way, you'll have information and you'll be able to direct your resources where they should go, rather than just spending generally without knowing where to direct your resources to. Because if we want to have a meaningful educational system, we need to look at individual priorities and be able to direct our funding to those areas. Otherwise, we'll be doing it in general. And the resources are limited. That's what your economics class is taught you. We would love to do it, but they are limited. So to make meaning of that limited resources, we need to have those data in our hands to be able to do well in our thing. I don't know whether I have answered you well.
Can you please candidates?
The 408, okay. Let me just tell you, we as a ministry do not interfere with examination. We are what we are because we are validated. And the institution that validates us is WEC. So WEC does this examination. They conduct examination independent of the ministry. We have no show in the conduct of exams. They have their regulations between them and schools. The schools are supposed to produce what we call CASMA, continuous assessment marks, for every student. Parents have the choice of getting you to St. Teresa's in grade 7. By grade 8, they move you to Glory Baptist. In that movement, sometimes marks are lost, and it will affect that accumulation process at the end of grade 9. So if that is not able, if they are not able to regularize that before the release of the result, they will not keep the results because Mr. Job's results are not in, or his CAS mark. So they will withhold that until those CAS marks are settled. But let me tell you what the ministry is doing about this. We have engaged last year, and we have started punishing schools that are not helping work in making sure that they access these CAS marks early or on time. But it has some technological problems.
What are the penalties?
What are the?
Penalties to those schools.
The penalties.
Yes.
Some of them can be decentered. You know what it means to be decentered? If you are given the authority to conduct exams, we will seize that authority, and instead of your children or students sitting exams in your school, they will have to move to another school to sit it. Okay? So you will no longer be recognized as an examination center. And there are other administrative, of course, penalties for the purpose of relationship between the ministry and my schools. I will keep it to that. In the grade 9s, no. Except one that is not yet verified. They are working on one to verify, to establish. Remember, we don't go into conclusions without proper check. So that process is on. And unless it is concluded, we will not want to give you the information as to yes or no. But so far, so good. Even if there are, I can tell you it has fallen, let's say, from 90% to 2%. I can assure you that, from what the data we have.
During your presentation, you said you've seen so many results online. Actually, 6. I wanted to ask whether you find any result online that was actually not from mine, and it was just presented online. Because some of these people manipulate these results and they give them their brothers or sons. Have you found any of these cases?
No, we did not. What we have seen online is to say that this year we have 20 aggregate 6. That's the kind of information you've seen online, but not results that are pasted online, not coming from WEC as such. Remember, like I said, WEC is an international organization. It's a regional body. And for them to be credible, they will not subject themselves to those kind of issues. We've not found out yet. Nothing like that.
Last question, I'm sorry. You talked about collecting levies from students. Did you found any culprit among the schools? And if you do, who are the schools?
No, I think my colleague has answered that beautifully. What we said is it's brought to our attention. You are a journalist. I will refer you to Wednesday 22nd newspapers. Go through them. There was an open letter that was written to the Minister of Basic and Secondary Education, 22nd of this month, September. And in that letter, it is indicated that they want to bring to our attention schools charging some levies of 300, for XYZ. As a concerned sector, we will not leave such information unattended to. And that's the reason why we are bringing it publicly, that if such things do exist, those that are doing it should stop immediately, because public schools do not charge fees. Is fees free for all public schools. And I went on to tell you what are public schools. So anybody within that category should not charge fees and should not charge any other levy. But I said, schools are at liberty to initiate some development at their own level, depending on the PTA they have or the SMCs. And I'm saying it should be led by the SMCs and the PTAs, not the school administration. If I am a principal of a school, or I'm a member of a board of a school, and we want our children to be able to get their uniform from the school, we can go buy the cloth and get a tailor who sews it there. So the parents would have that ease of taking the children to that tailor and measure. But I am saying that must be championed by the school management committees or the PTAs, not the school administration. Because people do not understand, they don't ask questions, then they conclude that this particular school is charging XYZ. Even though sometimes these are agreements that are reached at by the school and the parents. So to avoid that, they must be led by the SMCs.
Teaching of mathematics in schools, we all know had been challenging for a long time. And it's actually not one-sided. First of all, we used to have a limited number of mathematics teachers in the system. And those good ones are always being poached by other institutions where they are needed most. And maybe they have more incentives. And they would always have good openings in terms of furthering their education as, on the side of the sciences and the like. Again, we also have an issue of interest by the students in mathematics because of the phobia that is actually developed. All of us had passed through schools here, and then you realize in most instances when the maths teacher walks into the classroom, you can even hear people murmuring, saying, I don't think I can do maths. And everybody is having that phobia that mathematics is difficult. I was a mathematics teacher myself, but actually in the schools, what we encourage the schools to do is get good mathematics teachers, try to build their capacities through interacting with other more experienced mathematics teachers so that they can share knowledge in terms of teaching strategies and other classroom management strategies that are required. And then you also encourage them at the level of the school. The school is at liberty. They are given that liberty to encourage those core subject teachers in the form of life, giving them an incentive at the level of the school. That is possible, right? And then you realize that those teachers will stay in the school and will be able to support the children to pass mathematics. I was so elated when I saw the figures, actually, and I saw that it is on the increase. I said, thank God. This is also encouraging to all of us that not because the students cannot do mathematics, but all they need is encouragement and give them the courage that they can do it, and it is not a subject that is meant for genius. The encouragement has been given to those students. And that is why we are seeing at least that increase in the pass in mathematics or the credit rate in mathematics. So I think we also have what we call the Progressive Science Initiative and the Progressive Maths Initiative, where teachers are participating in the program to enhance their teaching capability in mathematics. And the students themselves are also participating in that progressive mathematics programs. So that was also an intervention that is really making remarkable improvement in the mathematics results.
I think he has said much of it. In addition to the Progressive Maths Initiative,
we are also strengthening our distance learning platform to support schools. And as he said, maths teachers are very rare to get in schools, a lot of schools. And it's not only maths, but physics, also chemistry at senior secondary school level. Very difficult for some schools to get the teachers for those subjects. Now, if you go to rural Gambia, I think what PS was talking about, you go to a whole school, they are not doing some of these science subjects simply because they don't have the teachers. No, so these are some of the problems. But the distance learning platform is going to support and supplement schools that have teachers and are struggling with maths, but also schools that don't have maths teachers can be able to have lectures from the distance learning. The students can be able to interact from distance learning modules or platform and learn maths without teachers really in the classroom. And that's what we are doing. And inshallah, very soon we will start that program, very, very soon.
Love like fire. Wow. Love like fire. Xam ngeen rek affaire bi xam ngeen fan la skincare la 2020 lañ wax de waaw fii nag mooy Kerr fan Kerr zero tache perfect skincare saa su ne rek niñ ko dee defee rek loo lañ soxlaati rek maanaam bu ngeen am problème ci seen skin yéen xam ngeen fan la fii ngeen di ñëw suma xarit yeeg am di jàmm yi nga xam ne taas daf lañ sonaloon xam nga doon xeesal ba la ka xum éneew ma lañ ko nag waaye just in case comme ni ko gars yi defee rek en cas just in case loolu xew xam ngeen fi ngeen di ñëw fii ngeen di ñëw skincare plus si yu baax rek la ñoo dox nag ay baax rek fu ne la ñoo dem ci réew mi di lañ indi rek nag products yu baax du Paris du Italie du USA du fi mu nekk nii sax boole nañ ci nag Sweden fu nekk lañ leen a indi les products bu dee tamit nag da nga ñuul rek ñu lay jamaa natural beauty that melanin dripping we do have stuff for you as well emuñ si skincare products rek ñu ngi ci cuub yi tamit fu ne la ñoo jaar in fact sax last commercial bi ñu defoon waxuñ leen woon dañoo dox ci ay kawar 9A grade rek nag waaw we do have bundles as well hair si lu ne la ñoo dox ñun ñu ngi ci rafetal jigéen rek luy taaral jigéen rek waaw boo leen di tukki tamit bëggoon that classic suitcase ñu dañoo dox ci ay Samsonite duñ dee indi any brand of suitcases though other than Samsonite comme li ma dee wax rek boo eggee airport diri Samsonite dafa am nuñ laa xoolee waaw ngeen ne lan nag waaw skin ci moom la ñu gën a xamee nag skin care products ci moom la ñu gën a xamee ñu ngi dox tamit bentee tamit si ay dàlla man waaye man nag skin care mooy suma specialty xam nga rek jigéen bu sa xar kanam réglé loo def mu jag am nañ Patricia Reiner, Kiwi Eye, the whole range, Lighten Up Gold, Tomatine. I mean, the list can just go on and on and on and on. lépp loo xam ne rek luy taaral jigéen la ci yooyu rek la ñoo dox skincare plus nag emuñ si Gambia rek ñu ngi United States ñu ngi Gambia fii ba pare bu dee yaa ngi anywhere in Europe mun nañ la ko mail within 3 days rek ñetti fan rek nga jot say diw emuñ si loolu rek dañ laa consult tamit balaa ñu laa jaay diw dinañ def a free consultation pour wax la rek exactly li nga xam ne moo méngoo ak sa kanam dinañ leen wax tamit ne rek am nañ perfumes, you know, fragrances, men's shirts, accessories. We do dresses as well. We do blouses. I mean, we do shoes. Name it, we do them. Skincare Plus 2020 is our year of perfection. Zero task. Fi mu nekk nii réew mi fii kenn waratu fi task kenn waratu fi am problème kanam kenn waratu fi am problème yu picca boo ko amee dafa fekk ne rek ñëwuloo ci place bi fii. Love like fire. Bring my love like fire.
Agada
mbijan aganyadi
albaka
mbaka important
yo nga transfer la sto
ya transfer la
ha code nyinji
okay person nsila id soto
sa soto sorry agada
mbijan bro
albaka
mbaka
bara alla service o tariya
mbare
mo ki janna nun kunu bara tariya
jannom yona forest de bureau gambia tonkon nano mbari ya bere birim koyna fo kato
bari si kodo kino kato nim fo bolong labe to
56 branches mola sota gambia jam
ha
gambia kono ani gambia bantala bankol nko kodo kiya bele to kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta memmen na kodi to poto nin kodi maraw jannom number 1 nyonta andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale wala nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale de dadi mane domorol dir fana beteat gambia dawda yalo ngam fa kendol sotale je
wo moyo diat
apelenta
ni wo ka ni lafta nyelen kendol e binaji
yalo bu kanina ko la baraka ba
yalo ndel chosano lo
baraka.
We live in a day and age where technology is creating a world without borders, filled with unlimited potential to improve the lives of the people around us. Innovarex Global Health ushers in a new way of leveling the playing field with increased access to quality healthcare services delivered at your doorstep. Our qualified professionals are equipped with state-of-the-art point-of-care testing technology to conduct tests such as kidney function, liver function, electrolyte tests, body composition, hemoglobin, A1C, and many more services with the highest efficiency in delivering results. The addition to our flagship Wellness on Wheels, more fondly known as WOW Delivery Service, brings the entire clinical experience full circle. IGH has remained committed to creating the future of healthcare delivery. Gone are the days of sending loved ones outside the country for basic medical services. Innovarex Global Health offers a new peace of mind and takes pride in delivering the quality of care we all deserve.